98.9 is Win FM.
It's all fixed.
Thank you for coming on such short notice. The kitchen was almost flooded.
Happy to help. No disrespect, but you're writing a check?
Sorry, this was unexpected, so I don't have cash.
Then first pay me.
Awesome, that I can do. So, this bathroom tap needs a washer, and this one
For quick transfer with just an email, mobile number, or QR code, use First Pay from CIBC Caribbean. Visit cibccaribbean.com/ways to bank for more information.
If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay. A tsunami could occur within minutes.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Tune in to Creative Voices, the ultimate radio call-in program where innovation meets inspiration. Join me, Dr. Sarah Owen, as I welcome brilliant Caribbean creatives and innovators for engaging sessions that promise to spark your creativity. Don't miss this unique opportunity to interact with our guests, ask your burning questions, and gain insights that could elevate your own creative endeavors. Tune in every other Friday from 10 a.m. to midday. Get inspired. Let your voice be heard. Mark your calendars and prepare to embark on a journey of creativity and innovation with Creative Voices.
Need to get your goods to St. Kitts and Nevis? Look no further. TDC Shipping has you covered with reliable cargo solutions by land, air, and sea. Whether it's a package from across the world or a large shipment of goods, TDC Shipping makes it easy, affordable, and stress-free. And with our airbox service, ordering from your favorite online stores just got even easier. Ship straight to your mailbox and let TDC Shipping handle the rest. Fast, secure, and even to your door. Visit us today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Park or Penny's Industrial Site, or call 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis. TDC Shipping, where reliable service meets unbeatable convenience. TDC, together we succeed.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
Happy May and good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the regional and international diaspora. Good morning, Quint. How are we doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm quite well.
Wow, the 5th month already, huh?
Yeah, but it's refreshing with the rain, kind of cooling down the atmosphere.
Yeah, we're expected to have some. I saw when I checked the weather some light, well, they say thunderstorms, but I don't think we really get thunderstorms. But I guess that's how they predict the weather. But we're supposed to get rain, but the rain didn't fall now because they had said 7, 8, 9. But I guess maybe late in the afternoon we'll feel the effects of the heavier rain.
Yeah.
But it's the 1st of May. Remember what you didn't get to complete in April. You can do it in the 5th month, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. We still have a few more months to go. I know the days are flying and fleeting fast, but do what you must to ensure that you reach your goals.
Yeah.
We are being simulcast on TVC Channel 40, Facebook, and YouTube. Just to remind you of the numbers, in the UK, it's 0333-440065, 718-285-6984, or 305-921-4619, And our local number is 662-0989 or 466-0989. We are also being broadcast on our winfm.com media page. And I wanted to start with our neighbors this morning, our sister island of Nevis. And there is a headline that says, Premier Brantley warns citizens to brace for impact of global economic instability. And it says, amid mounting global economic uncertainty, driven primarily by policy shifts from the U.S. administration, Premier of Nevis and federal leader of the opposition, the Honorable Mark Brantley, has issued a sobering call for national preparedness and strategic adaptation. Speaking at his monthly press conference on April 28th, Premier Brantley addressed the potential local implications of escalating geopolitical and trade instability, warning that the ripple effects are likely to impact cost of living, trade logistics, and food security in St. Kitts and Nevis. He said, and quote, I anticipate some difficulties ahead. I anticipate that there will be some real difficulties in terms of cost of living, Brantley stated. Disruption, instability, invariability lead to higher prices and more difficulty. We must be prudent. We must be sensible about how we spend our money, end quote. Premier Brantley emphasized the importance of domestic resilience, reiterating his long-standing position on the critical need for food and energy security. St. Kitts and Nevis needs to do more to ensure that it has greater food security and to ensure that it has greater energy security. Those two things are absolutely critical, and so perhaps, though that upheaval has given renewed impetus, but I certainly feel that regardless of what's happening externally, we need for our own sustainability to double down in terms of water, energy, food. People need those three in order to function effectively, and the country needs those three in order to move forward and be sustainable. In response to predicted challenges, the Premier strongly encouraged citizens to shift their consumption habits and to take ownership of their food supply through backyard farming and local sourcing. I want to again encourage our people to do more in terms of producing some of what they eat. Everything starts with the will. And I think if our people can grow more of what they eat, we start to help feed ourselves. So Premier Brantley message to the citizenry and decision makers was clear. Adaptability, frugality, and forward planning are essential in navigating the uncertain road ahead. Now, being frugal, we can't eat the monies, but we need the food.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so we can't be frugal with ourselves. Then you won't have a nation. You'll have a bunch of walking deads, as the series says, because we're hungry, nothing to feed us.
I don't even know how to begin to approach
Everybody's
this
talking, but
subject.
we don't see anything to put. Yeah, we need food. Yeah, we need energy. Yeah, we need water. But what's being done?
Nada.
I don't know what.
It's quite obvious that our leaders can talk. They can speak.
They can talk a good talk.
So I wouldn't even say it's a good talk anymore. Maybe when we heard it the first 1,000 times, we could have said.
Sounded good. Okay.
But it's overbearing now, without any real production. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that something will change somewhere along the way.
But you realize over in, if we were to go worldwide now, they're having problems too, because I see a headline here that says Pakistan says it has credible intelligence India will attack within days. What does India has to do with what beef does, what problems does India and Pakistan have amongst themselves?
They have always had some kind of scuffle or the other.
God. I never knew that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I cannot fathom why in this day and age people want to gravitate towards war, knowing that eventually if it escalates, it's going to wind up being all about nuclear war, because the bigger it gets, more threatened you feel, and when you feel threatened, you bring out the best you've got. It wouldn't start as a nuclear war with India and Pakistan, definitely not. But then people start to pick side.
Yeah.
And then that's
it gets
where
bigger and
yeah,
bigger.
it gets bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I see in Portugal 2 days or 3 days back, since it's the 1st of May. In Spain and Portugal, let me say major power outage. Imagine knockout subway networks, traffic lights, and ATMs. Something's different. Listen. Caller, good morning. You're live in Island T.
Pleasant good morning, Brother Quentin, Sister there.
Good morning.
Good day.
Yeah, this is Ras Colonji.
How are you doing?
I'm good. What about y'all?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since I heard your voice.
Yeah, but I've tried to get in a couple of times, but I wanted to even get in yesterday, but what happened is that other people was occupying the line, but I just wanted to inform our people that yesterday yesterday was Global Abraham Traore Day. When you talk about African people, we show our solidarity in his support and the people of Burkina Faso and the Sahel states, that the African Consciousness Movement and the movement for national unity here, we hosted a solidarity rally right there in the circus in Bastille.
Kalanji.
Yes.
Who designated it that as a global day?
Well, basically, Brother Julius Malema.
Okay.
Put out the call, that we should show solidarity, hands off Burkina Faso and Abraham Traore.
Okay.
He put the call out, and wherever black people be around the world, we responded to that call.
Okay, that's good.
So it was a glorious day, and even like I say, wherever black people was, and there was a demonstration against France at the French embassy in New York City in particular.
That's good.
So everywhere we were, we came out in our numbers, however big or small the gathering was, we came out and showed our solidarity with Brother Abraham Traore and the people of Burkina Faso and the Sahel states. And we just letting the imperialist forces know that, if you touch this brother, there's going to be fire in the sky. It's as simple as that. And all our heroes who you have taken down before, this one is not going down like that.
No.
So we just send a message to the world that, we're living in a time where we're at a crossroads, we're at a historical moment, and we're letting our enemies know that it's not going to go down like it went down before.
Yeah.
That you're taking out all our heroes like Sankara, Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Malcolm, Martin. This is a different day.
Yeah.
And we're not going for the tricks anymore.
Yeah. That's very, very good. It's very good that to see that black people being aware of our history are willing in this time to stand up and say no more.
Definitely, what I mean? And what happens is that it's the same playbook.
Same playbook.
That they use on Gaddafi.
Yeah.
What they do, they let the groundwork. I mean, I don't know if I think you saw the clip with Mr. Langley, where he's saying that Brother Abraham Traore is using the gold, the money from the gold, the resources from the gold for his own personal use.
Yeah.
And and we know that is further from the truth.
We know that's not the truth.
So we see what they're doing. You know what I mean? We could even go back and deal with Colin Powell again, where he went to the United Nations and said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, which they gave to him.
Yeah, yes. In his defense, that is one of the reasons why he left the Republican Party.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that why is it that these imperialists have to always be keeping keep on telling lies, because that's all they do is tell lies.
But remember that is part of stemming out of propaganda. We know the part that propaganda plays in the established world. So that is the way they use to brainwash the people, get the people to start going against you, and then that empowers them now to use their force and take you out. So as you said, it's the same playbook. It's just that we seem to be more aware of it now and have reached the point where we're saying, no more.
Yeah, and it reached to a point now, and what bring that about is social media too.
Yes.
Because you have other options.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they can't hide anymore what their motives are, because it's part of their culture.
Yes.
You know, I always tell people basically, like, you see, when we talk of culture, we only think of song and dance.
Yes.
But no, when we talk of culture, we're talking about the totality
and habits.
Of how
habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You use the right word, habit.
Yes.
Is that's the way they function.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's part of them. And as time go on, and as our people get more information, they realize, look here, this is not so. And one of the main ingredients that brought that about was COVID, because the people saw basically that COVID wasn't something natural; it was manufactured.
Yes.
You see, so as time go on, our people begin to realize that these people are who they are is really manifesting itself to show you that all what they're dealing with is just a lie.
And to your point, the point you made about the media now, before it was a number of medias who followed the same line. Once CNN or whoever came out with something, all the rest took up the BBC, the Canadian broadcast, all of them carried the same story. But now with the internet and people being able to see, and then there's this news media from out in the Middle East that is very, very big now, very, very popular.
Algeria?
Yeah, Algeria. And now people, as you said, people have options, and people can see the real truth behind what they want to push.
Exactly. And now Mr. Trump is on the scene, and what he's demonstrating to the world, because the people see. I mean, if you're gonna put tariff on everybody, you understand?
Yeah.
And he only doing that because the empire is in decline.
That is true.
So he's like a drowning man grasping at straws.
Yeah.
You know, and every time they try to bring forward in order to restore the empire, you know what I mean? The people's eyes are opening up to show you, well, something is wrong here, and how things was, they're not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Now, when you deal with the tariff now, the tariff going to just increase inflation on a global scale.
Yeah.
Because every time the people go to the supermarket now, prices are being increased.
The article that Cortencia just read spoke to that. We're right here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Over on Nevis, the Premier is saying, brace yourself, because the effects of the tariffs are we're gonna feel them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm saying to you now is that what we need to do now, you see, I'm dealing with the part now where we're coming with solutions. So what I'm trying to show you now, the politicians, them going to continue the pot calling the kettle black politics. And then the masses now going to say, well, that don't make any sense anymore, because what is affecting me is affecting all of us.
Yes, most definitely.
You see, and the inflation going to bring that more to a realization where the people going to say, well, look here, my situation economically is getting worse every day.
Yeah.
And it's not only poor people, but even the politicians and the people who have so-called money themselves, that they're going to realize, no, all of us now are in the same boat.
Yeah. Because, that's a good point you made, because we often think that the rich don't get a lashback from things like these. But let's say an individual is accustomed to lavish lifestyle. your Gucci bags, your this, your that, you're going to these expensive hotels. All of that is going to go up, and it's going to cost exorbitantly more than it used to. So it's going to be digging deeper into their pockets. So you're so right.
Yeah, but I saw a video when Trump put the tariffs on China. I saw a video with some Chinese business people in China, factory, saying, well, look, the Gucci bags and all these bling things that our people like to fancy, the name brand things.
Yes.
He's showing you could get the same product at a cheaper rate.
Yes, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to our people is that it is time for us to stand as one. And as time goes on, they're going to realize that the pot calling the kettle black politics doesn't mean anything. Because more and more they realize that the politicians are just telling lies in order to keep themselves in power. Because what is happening basically is that who tell the best lie among them win the election, and they realize that the lie can't sustain them anymore.
Yeah.
You see?
When
like Malcolm said, the chicken are coming home to roost.
Yeah, when they eventually win the election, that is when people realize that, okay, so now you can't deliver on what you promised.
For instance, I'm going to show you an example. In the last election, right, you remember Team Unity was given $500.
Yes.
When the election campaign came, they said they're going to raise it to 1,000.
Yeah.
Then Labour said they're going to raise it to 1,500.
Yeah.
No, we're back to 250.
we're gone even lower than it ever was before.
Exactly. So what I'm saying now, the people are realizing more and more. This is a game.
Yeah. The electorate is finally waking up.
The game is over.
Yeah.
You see? So what I'm saying now, we in the African consciousness movement, we are calling for the unification of our people. What we have to do, we have sinned against each other. We have to atone for our sins. Sit down and come up with some new rules based on principle that our people could operate on. Even if we have a contradiction, we have to lay a groundwork, how to resolve our contradiction so we could keep moving forward. Because we realize we are running out of lies. It cannot work anymore. The system that we have, this colonial system now, is bankrupt and it cannot work anymore because the empire is in a serious crisis.
Okay.
And it's unraveling every day.
Yeah.
And the more they try to come up with something in order to, okay, if you have a leak and you do something to stop the leaks, more leaks are coming.
Yeah.
It's unraveling every day. So what I'm saying, trying to show our people what happened yesterday with the solidarity for Brother Abraham Cho, Burkina Faso and the Sahel states, we are saying that solidarity has to continue. We have to mold ourselves into a single unit and speak with one voice.
Yeah.
You understand? And that is the voice of African liberation, that we are not turning back, and we are seeing a dawn of a new day, that the only solution to this pollution, as Granny said, is African unity, African solidarity, and African togetherness. We got to mold it now. It's all about molding it because Brother Abraham Traore has show us the way. That the only way to solve our problem, we got to get rid of the people who colonizing us for centuries and come up with a new paradigm.
I mean, when you look at the things that Abraham Traore has done in 3 years, I think it is. It's
3 years.
It's remarkable. It's unbelievable to think that a young man can do all of this and you still want to destroy him. So that shows the rest of us around the world that you mean no good for us. You can't mean good for us.
And what I'm saying, you use the span of 3 years. We could say that the new government is about 3 years.
Yeah.
No, CARICOM came up with a thing about 2025?
Yes.
I think it is, right?
Yeah.
25 by 25?
Time span.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same time span.
Yeah.
When Abraham Traore, we have ordered 400 tractors here.
Yeah.
And in the agricultural sector now, it's providing food not only for Burkina Faso but for other African countries.
Yeah.
And
he has look.
2030.
Look, he has done so much in housing. He has done so much in terms of education. There was a point where even he required that every soldier give a minimum contribution to students and all that. I mean, in every aspect.
Everybody had to declare their assets, and he meant it by a certain
understand?
time.
I mean, wow. So yes, we show solidarity with Abraham Traore and the other two countries that have aligned themselves with him, and we are proud to say to the rest of the world, we now see the picture for the future, the way we can move together, and that is why I asked you who had designated it to be a global day, and the person who you said designated it, he has enough clout and respect so that he can make such, and it is good that we have accommodated his wishes.
And you know, when I look, you know, what is taking place, you know, that people are saying now, you know, that I was glad to be around at this particular time, black people in particular, to see that, you know, we responded to the call, and, you know, it's like they couldn't even imagine something like this happening. So it just shows you that the power that we have as a people, when we come together and speak with one voice.
Yeah.
And you know, the empire and the hegemony, you know, imperialism, they are trembling in their boots.
Yeah.
Because they just couldn't imagine something like this. And imagine this. Is one of us, you know, when I mean one of us, a black man who went before the US Senate, you understand? And testify to the world that Abraham Traore is somehow is involved in corruption, when we know that is not the case.
But
our leadership who involved in the same corruption, they're not doing them anything.
But Kalanji, you said we've seen the game is the same. So usually they use one of our own, they push one of our own up, and he represents something that they want, and then they label him an Uncle Tom, and then we now start to pick sides and you know, follow him, but that isn't gonna work, and is not working this time, because as you said, people have been awakened to what is really going on. Anyway, you're gonna have to wrap up, so make your final points.
So the final point is that what we say here locally, we are calling for our people to unite based on the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And one of them is unity, means Umoja, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the nation, community, and race. You understand? And there is more. And we just want to end by saying what Granny said, love one another. What Granny said, respect one another. What Granny said, unite by any means necessary. What Granny said, peace and love to humanity and to African people throughout the globe. What Granny said, love one another. Give thanks. One love.
Cool.
Thank you for your contribution.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Hey, have you heard about the water shortage in our area?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible.
Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
Well, that's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house.
But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they're full to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely.
every job counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
Been thinking about going back to school? Now's the time with DeVry University's Bridge to Brilliance initiative. Qualified Caribbean professionals can earn a U.S. degree 100% online with up to 50% tuition savings and flexible payment plans. DeVry offers over 50 programs built for busy adults, whether you're looking to change careers, earn a promotion, or finally finish what you started. Study business, healthcare tech, or project management on your schedule around your life. There's up to 50% tuition savings. The application fee will be waived. It's fully online and flexible. There's stackable credentials and start dates every 8 weeks. Restrictions apply. Visit partner.devry.edu/Caribbean today to learn more. You've supported others. Now it's your time.
Unlock the secrets to a healthier you. Join Dr. Natalie Osborne every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on WinFM 98.9 for Weekly Dose. During this 30-minute health discussion, we aim to educate and empower our listeners on the prevention of diseases, early diagnosis, and timely intervention. Don't miss out on this informative health talk where we teach you to live your best life. Weekly Dose, Tuesdays on WinFM 98.9.
Ricardo, my hair is almost done. Could you pick me up? I got my nails done too, so walk with a little extra money?
I'm almost there. Forgot the extra money, but you know, happy wife, happy life. Looks like the salon has first pay. QR code scanned, funds sent, paid.
For quick transfer with just an email, mobile number, or QR code, use First Pay from CIBC Caribbean. Visit cibccaribbean.com/ways to bank for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and during the break, myself and Quint was just discussing what was being talked about before concerning Burkina Faso. And for those of you who are interested, I found something here that says it is aligned with several countries and regional organizations, including its neighbors in West Africa, and the allegiance of Sahel State, as Raskalonji would have said. It is also a member of the West African Economic Community, that's ECOWAS, and the West African Monetary Union. Despite its recent decision to withdraw from ECOWAS, Burkina Faso also maintains relations with other countries like Russia, China, and the United States, with varying degrees of cooperation and diplomatic ties. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island Tea.
Good morning to everybody. Greetings once more in Jesus' name, the only Savior of sinners from the sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I would like to say, I'd like to give Jesus Christ, who is the Lord God Almighty, all thanks that for the year, I think we only had one homicide. I don't think we had more than one.
I'm not too sure,
Maybe.
but if that is the case, that
I
is
only know
good
about
so
one.
far.
Yeah, I only know about one, but no, definitely no more than two.
Okay.
Definitely no more than two. And I give Jesus Christ, the Almighty God, all thanks for that. And not only that, but in connection with that, I always said, this false peace program has always been where it should have never been in the first place, and it was a great waste of money. You know, that Team Unity came up with. It was a very great waste of money and was never, ever needed.
What do you speak of? The giving out of the monies to folks that needed it?
No, he's talking about the peace program where
Oh,
where they gave to
the false peace program.
Oh, false. Yeah, okay.
You're aware of the peace program?
Yeah.
Yes, so that has always been my opinion, and that has always been what I've said. It was a great waste of money and never needed, and it solved nothing.
When you say it solved nothing, you think the crime rate was
in other words, in other words, it was not needed to keep crime low. I mean, especially homicide, because we were more focused on homicide, but crime and all, but homicide was the big thing, and it was not needed to keep homicide low, as we have seen for this year. Now, what I would also like to say, concerning the hurricane season that is upon us, I pray to God, the Lord God Almighty, Jesus Christ, that He would give us another.
He would spare us.
Season.
Yes.
Hello?
He would spare us
He
from...
would give yes, He would spare us, definitely.
Yeah.
That He would spare us as He have been doing in the past, you know. But we, the people, need to turn to Jesus Christ in true repentance according to His word. Otherwise, His mercy and grace ain't going to be forever and ever upon us while we're living in sin. But thank God thus far for His protection of us, not just from hurricane, but from destructive earthquakes, tsunamis, and all the other quote-unquote natural disasters that have destroyed so many other nations, have killed so many hundreds and thousands of people. And yet, Jesus Christ, in His great mercy, has spared us from all these destructions.
Yeah.
The most we get is just tremors.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing I would love to say is that, no, you all were talking about Ibrahim Traore, and I would say something. I agree fully with him, definitely with this, with rejecting the loans of the IMF,
yeah,
and the World Bank. He have rejected them, and I'm going to say this in a figurative way. This is figurative, even though it should be obvious it is figurative. Nevertheless, you know, people just misunderstand things. But this is figurative speech. I think where that is concerned, rejecting the loans of the IMF and the World Bank. I think Ibrahim Traore needs to come down in the Caribbean with a 2x4 and beat it in the heads of our leaders to stay away from those organizations as well.
And that is figurative. So let's make that clear.
Of course, figurative.
Yes.
Obviously, it's figurative.
Yeah. I understand.
But I have to say that in case somebody might try to play funny and take it
Yes,
literally.
I understand, because they would be quick to say, Greg said, come down with a 2x4 and beat the leaders in their heads.
Yes.
So,
but let me say this though. Let me say this. On the team unity, I spanked them in one thing, but on the team unity, don't give them some compliment. They had paid off the IMF loan. Okay?
Yes.
That's my side. Team unity paid off the IMF loan, and I think that was a feather in the hat.
Yes.
I compliment them for that.
Hortensia, you wanted to ask him a question?
Let him continue.
Okay.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, so that was a good thing with them paying unity paying off the IMF loan. Have we gone back under this government? Have we gone back under the IMF?
From what I understand, I think, I'm not sure, I don't put this in cement, but from my understanding, I think we have approached the IMF and we have gotten some loans again, but I'm not sure that we...
For what?
For things like, again, I'm not sure, but remember we have the energy and we have water. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But my understanding is that we are building up back. The loan is building back up again. That is my understanding. I could be correct, but that is my understanding.
That is why I was vibing into, because I thought in the past I might have heard something similar to what you have said. That's why I asked the question.
Yes.
You know. Ibrahim Traore would be good on that front in coming down to these Caribbean leaders and really drill it in the head, stay away from the IMF and the World Bank. You know, because with all due respect, the loans are bait to keep you always enslaved to them.
Well, I would say the loans are bait. What I would say is that our leaders, because of their poor management of their economies, put themselves in financial duress, and then they go to the IMF, and the IMF is always waiting with open arms, because the IMF know when you come to them, then they dictate how you get all these austerity measures, like for instance VAT. We never had VAT before. The IMF said do that, and the IMF usually impose certain things on so that the citizens themselves within your country, they are the ones who bear the brunt of these things that these IMF impose. The IMF will say, don't put so much money in education and blah, blah, blah. The real things that would help your country advance, they tell you, they advise you not to do those things and put austerity measures that you wind up worse down the road.
That is true. But like I said, they use the loans as a bait, because they put the bait as a carrot in front of it to say, if you come to us, you will get this loan. You will get these loans, and therefore you'll be able to solve your problem, which never, ever happened.
It has never happened.
It never, ever happened.
You know the history of the IMF and Jamaica. How?
And also the history of the IMF and Brazil and those other countries as well.
Yeah.
They used to. Let us say the IMF mean international money. IMF, International Monetary Fund.
Yeah.
But there's a better meaning to it, But I can't really say it all in FM.
Oh Lord Jesus. Oh my gosh.
But you know a bit why
Greg, remember you're Christian.
Jesus gonna get to me now. Go ahead.
No, but the real meaning, even though you can't say it all, it's really reflect who they are.
Oh my gosh. No. You can't, no.
Well, sometimes, sometimes Greg, that's why I like Greg, because sometimes Greg jump out the box.
The earthly man. The earthly man shows up.
Yeah.
But I was looking at something here that says St. Kitts and Nevis did not need to borrow money from the international institution like the World Bank and the IMF to address the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, the country relied heavily on its citizen by investment program. This allowed them to build up significant fiscal buffers and reduce public debt, while St. Kitts and Nevis has a history of working with the World Bank on projects like the Emergency Recovery Project. It appears that they have been able to manage their finances and address economic challenges without relying on the World Bank loan in recent years. It says, here's a more detailed explanation. The CBI program, St. Kitts and Nevis has a strong CBI program which generates significant revenue for the government. Fiscal buffers, the country has built up substantial fiscal reserves, allowing them to manage economic downturns and avoid borrowing from international institutions. It says a debt reduction, a debt restructuring program in the past significantly reduced public debt, making St. Kitts and Nevis one of the few countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union to meet regional debt targets.
And that is a recent article.
And then I see here, Emergency Recovery Project. The World Bank has previously worked with St. Kitts and Nevis on a project like the Emergency Recovery Project, but this was for specific emergency situations and not ongoing financial assistance and revenue sharing. The World Bank recently provided a report recommending a fair revenue sharing plan for St. Kitts and Nevis, addressing an issue related to equitable distribution of resources.
So then does that mean that we, myself and Greg, we stand corrected then? They have not gotten any loans?
It doesn't seem so.
Okay. So Greg, it seems as if though they have been relying on the citizen by investment. Which that is what it's there for, to get us through the hard times.
Yeah. With all due respect, with all due respect, I think we don't even need the CBI. You see the thing is.
So what are we gonna survive with, Greg? You don't want us to pick up taxes, so tell me, what are we gonna survive on?
Doing things free market, capitalist.
Do we have the available resources to do things free market in our federation?
No, the free market capitalists will create and produce resources.
So
yeah, well, that always sounds good on paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It always, well, every nation that go in that direction always do better and better. None has ever failed in going in that direction. But let me say something about the CBI. The CBI is depending on one thing. It's one thing the CBI is depending on. That those ton loads of passport we sell, those people ain't going to come here to vote.
Yeah.
That is what the CBI is depending on. Because those people come here to vote, as I heard on an station that Doyle said, dog dead first.
Yeah.
So that is what the CBI is depending on. Those people who we sell passports to
come and
do
vote?
not come here to vote.
So what if they come to vote? What do you think what will happen? That's so scary.
It is estimated that they outnumber our present population.
Oh, so they'll have more say than us? But they'll have to have a play in the ring, and they can't. Their people weren't born here, so they can't play.
If I'm not mistaken, I stand corrected, but we had a leader before who came out and emphatically said that they are citizens. They are citizens. I'm not going to call the leader's name.
You didn't, but he did. But they can't. You see, and this is where the brand clause will stand firm. They can't.
No. The brand clause ain't for that, no.
Okay, let's use a hypothetical.
So what is the brand clause for?
The brand clause is for people running.
Yeah, but that's why I said they do not have somebody in the ring to run. That's what I said. So we don't have to worry about that, but they'll still might wanna call the shots.
Yeah, but they could still come here and determine elections, even for people who running that you may not want.
That too, that's what I'm saying. But they won't have a play in the ring to like overthrow us or anything.
You think so?
Well, hold on. It ain't just now, but it is also depending on future generations as well, not coming here to vote.
To me, the people with the numbers, history has shown if they really use their powers, they are in the position to make
us?
I wouldn't use the word overthrow, to make changes to our the laws and so forth, and so they have the lobbying power. Yeah, that is what I was looking for.
So you think our federation has really sold more passports than the occupants that we have now currently together?
That is what we hear bandied about.
Wow.
Right. But
remember how much is our population?
Ours over here is probably 50.
Yeah, and
what is Nevis?
And we don't have to join it because our election is different until we have the federal.
The federal, yeah. I'm doing federation.
Yeah.
I am not doing separate because if that's the case, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg. Is there? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So like I said, it's now about people, but foreigners could set up locals to solve their agenda, no?
Yeah.
And come and vote for them.
And there are always people. History has shown, especially of recent times, who are willing when it comes to finances. They're willing to
do any wicked thing or anything
to sell out their own.
Yeah.
To sell out their own.
Greg, we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah.
Morning, guys.
Morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you guys? How
good,
are you
thanks.
Guys?
You sound a bit under the weather.
Good morning.
Actually, no, I'm not.
Okay, just making sure you're good.
The thing is, right, I think the only way what you are talking about will happen is if some let me find a kind of let me see how to put it. If it's some politician invite them to come. Because in the majority of these people who have a passport, they never put foot on our soil. Remember, they only get our passport for convenience to travel to the U.S. and places that they cannot go on their own.
Yeah,
they don't.
they usually
After you ask them, I think if they ask you, what? They only got we password for the convenience. The only way what y'all talking about will happen is where some dirty, corrupt politicians go and plant that seed and invite them to come.
So then let me ask you this. So then let me ask you this question. Don't you feel that is a possibility, knowing the way our
well, knowing our people, knowing our politicians, that is possible because they're so corrupt.
That's what
I'm saying. You got to give them a little money. So just fact up their bank account and they'll sell you out in a minute.
Yeah.
So they'll sell out things like hot bread out the oven.
Yeah, that is what Greg was saying. There are always some of our people willing to sell out our people. Yeah. Sad but true.
But I don't think on their own that is in these people's mind because they're all, like I said, they only get our passport for convenience.
And I will agree with you. I didn't think of it until you brought it up, but it makes sense. They're only using it as a convenience to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But Contencia.
Hi.
I was looking. I'm surprised I'm not hearing you talk about the Guyana thing. I was looking at a video with some school children lining the street in solidarity for the little girl.
Yeah, in
and oh my God. Yes, when I watched it, all the hair on my skin, and I barely have hair on my skin, stand up, my head. Well, I was like, wow, this is so awesome to see these school children line the street on both sides.
Yeah.
And you could just feel it for all of the people.
Yeah.
But,
I touched on it, but I didn't come back to it because there's a lot of other things that are happening, and I'm not shying away from speaking about my country, but the rioting and all these things.
Are you keeping up with the case? Did you listen to the autopsy report?
Yeah, with it's an apparent drowning. Yeah.
But everybody knows she was drowned. But then the thing is, right? Was she drowned in the pool? Because
that's what I said too. But I just
how the cotton got up in her nose.
There was no cotton in her nose. That's propaganda. But I think she was drowned somewhere else and brought back and placed in the pool. I think she was drowned somewhere else and brought back and placed in the pool.
Right, because
that's how I feel.
The father pulled out the pool, there was cotton in her nose.
No, there wasn't any cotton in her nose. No, that said that is propaganda. Yeah, there was no cotton in her nose. But she was drowned.
But I don't think she was drowned in the pool.
Yeah,
though.
that's what I'm saying. I think she was drowned somewhere else and brought back and put in the pool. That's what I felt about that.
Because the story that they said the police tried to conjure up that they saw her left the building.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. And you see, they were gonna charge an innocent person for that. Somebody innocent would have gone down if these people didn't make a raging statement about it. But I don't agree with them mashing up the country. That don't make any sense because who they're attacking, these people had nothing to do with it. I understand you want justice for Adriana, but we have to go about this in a diplomatic way. Bringing shame. There's about to be, Guyana is on the rise. There's about to be cricket matches there for CPL, etc., etc. They know how that goes. When people see this, they're gonna think this is gonna be a security for our players, for people that are gonna come.
And
a lot of people are gonna change their minds.
Another thing why they have to be careful with the rioting too is that remember the situation with Guyana and Venezuela.
Yeah, cause people could get in during all of this, and mind you, the girl is from the part of Guyana that Venezuela wants to claim.
Right.
Yeah,
and they might use this now to do a state of emergency.
They already have
state
curfew.
Of emergency go.
Yeah, they have curfew. And
they lock you in. Government lock you in while they do the dirty work.
Yep. They have to be mindful. I don't agree with those things. I empathize. I feel for the child. I feel for the parent. I feel for the entire family of Miss Young. But I don't agree with what some of the Guyanese people have taken on in terms of making a mock of our country and destroying things of people that had nothing to do with it.
But you see that.
Hello?
Opportune time to steal and to rob
Yeah, that don't make sense. Yeah, that don't make any sense.
But you know, that's just a ploy because it's the same thing they do up here too. When anything that the people use it to loot, the opportunity to loot and destroy the place.
Yeah, destroy the place for no reason.
When they don't come and destroy the place, they go home to their cozy town where they live in and leave you with the chaos.
Yeah, because then things have to be fixed back, and that's why things rise.
Yeah.
We are already fighting with these tariffs and all these different things, food security and all of that, and yet you're going to go burn up supermarkets and things. That makes sense?
Yeah. Well, we're due a commercial break, so...
Anyway, have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
Greg, make your final point. Be brief.
I'm trying to make it quick.
Yeah.
Like I said, we are depending that these people, they're going to be just using our passport for convenience and they're going to come home here to vote. We are depending. That's what the CBI program is depending on, and it can be proven wrong in the future. But also, did you all see the video where in Guyana some youngsters took advantage of this girl incident and hold up a lot of people in the store? That is why I've been saying, and what Kamala is now saying, hey, let your people own guns, because I'm sure that if that was the case, they would have been able to defend themselves, and this incident in Guyana with the holding up the stores would not have been. Also, quickly, as I said, Jesus was never socialist. And also, quickly again, the last point, I would like to say we need to become a republic. Let us push for St. Kitts and Nevis to become a republic, so we could have some kind of true appearance of being truly independent. Because what we have is a mock in the independence.
Okay.
A false independence. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So we're going to take a bit of commercial break, and when we come back, we should have a guest in studio.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
The importance of co-parenting. Every child has the right to bond with the parents that gave them life. Children are happiest when they can freely communicate and enjoy the time, talents, and lessons that each parent brings to the relationship.
We make co-parenting difficult when we focus on differences rather than what is in the best interest of our children. Parents, your relationship with each other should never affect the relationship you have with your child. Celebrate your children together. They deserve your best. A message brought to you by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
The People's Action Movement presents Mayday Fair on Monday, 5th May from 7 a.m. at PAM headquarters. Face painting, bouncing castles, marketplace, new to you, domino competition, cake stall, a cash bar, and more. Breakfast, $30. Soul food lunch, $20. And barbecue, $30. Plus, lots of entertainment. So bring the entire family to PAM headquarters on Monday, 5th May from 7 a.m. until, and hang out with the People's Action Movement at their Mayday Fair. The People's Action Movement, putting people first since 1965.
Voices has a new time. Starting Friday, January 24, tune in from 10 to 12 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for Voices right after Island Tea on Win FM. Money Matters with Dr. Terrence Martin moves to Monday afternoons from 1 to 2 p.m. Inside the News on Saturday mornings, now 10 to 12 noon. Tune in to Win FM 98.9. Log on to winmediaskn.com and our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch pages. And let's go. Keep up with the news on our website and by following our Win Media SKN channel on WhatsApp. Message your comments or call Win FM at 466-0989, 662-0989, or call our U.S. numbers from anywhere, 718-285-6984, 305-921-4619, and call our sales office at 466-9586. Voices, now 10 to 12 a.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Money Matters, 1 to 2 p.m. Monday afternoon. And Inside the News, Saturdays, 10 to 12 noon on Win FM 98.9.
Attention!
Attention, St. Kitts and Nevis. The countdown is on and time is running out. This is your final call, your last chance to save big at Hostos Automotive during our VAT Off Drive On blog event. It's your final call, your last chance to get up to $15,000 in total savings. No down payment, free servicing for 12 months, free bill of sale, $1,000 in groceries, or 3 months of free gas, free registration, licensing, tinting, and accessories, and 4% VAT off on top of it all. Yes, you've heard right. Everything free and 4% VAT off. But listen closely. This incredible sale ends when June ends. No extensions, no do-overs. This is your final call, your last chance for the biggest auto sales saving for the year. So don't walk, run to Hostos Automotive now. Your dream car is waiting, and these deals are ready to roll. Hostos Automotive, where affordability meets the road. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and as promised by Quint, with me in the studio, we have Mr. Kyle Orana here to speak to us about an upcoming event, I should say, the Cottle Church Presents Congregation. And for those of us who don't know what the Cottle Church is, I will let Mr. Warner explain that to you before we begin. And as we delve further into the interview, I hope that you'll be educated, and we look forward to seeing you at this event come Saturday, May 3rd. Good morning, Mr. Warner, and welcome to Island Tea.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty well.
Okay, so let's talk about this event, Congregation. Why is it titled Congregation, and why was the Cottle Church in Nevis chosen?
So I was reached out to by the Cottle Church about doing some sort of art exhibition there. I'm an artist. I've shown work in New York, in places in Montreal and Miami, and I had always wanted to have a project in my ancestral home. My father's from here. And so after a exhibition in Brooklyn, at the Brooklyn Museum, I was reached out to by the church about doing this exhibition. And so it started off as a number of different conversations about imagining what are ideas, how can we bring something to this space, to have this conversation with this historical site without, in a present sense. Let's bring the Cottle Church into the present instead of thinking about it as this historical site that just sits in 1824 when it was built, and then we only think about it through that lens.
Okay, so will this event be held? Well, I shouldn't say that. It will be held at the Cottle Church,
It'll be
right?
held at the Cottle Church.
On the inside or on the outside?
On the inside of the church.
Mm-hmm.
So for this project, Congregation, thinking about the congregation that would have existed there, presently in the church, there is a plaque on the wall that acknowledges the 131 enslaved persons who were present on that plantation at the completion of the church. And so this project is thinking about those individuals, thinking about bringing people to move through the space, move through the congregation, and having these congregation of quilts. So people could think about sheets or beddings using different tropical prints in this abstract geometric manner. And so these quilts are reinforced with burlap, mounted on shipping pallets, and then create this sort of labyrinth, sort of like maze that people can walk through in the church. On top of these quilts, I'm using some of the volcanic sand from down here. And so as when people come in initially, they're going to be seeing these black cloths, these black quilts that are present in the space. And over the duration of the project, over the duration of the exhibition, these pieces will weather and showcase these beautiful quilts I had made for them. So when it's very much so encouraging people, come see it and in this darkened set, and then come back and revisit and see how they evolve, see how they change over time.
Oh, okay. And why the number 13?
So thinking about how to numerically be in reference to the 131 enslaved.
Okay.
That's why I was thinking about, let me line it up in that manner. I thinking to make 131 was quite ambitious and outside of what I thought to be practical and might have been overdone. But I think 13, that reference of 10, makes the point.
Okay. Let's talk about the entertainment that's going to be there on that day.
I'm not actually too familiar with said entertainment.
Okay.
I believe there's a band that's supposed to be coming, and then there'll be food vendors for people to consume food.
Yeah, I see. They said there's eats and drinks on sale,
Yes.
like, and the time of the event, you are aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
1 p.m.
to 5 p.m.
Yes.
So let me ask, will these quilts remain in the church, or will they, because in terms of safety, I know the Call Church is on, is it Mount Nevis Hotel?
On the same road.
Yeah.
The Round Hill Estate over there.
In terms of security, how will these quilts be secured?
So they're stapled down, like nailed down onto these pallets, and the pallets are attached together so that they don't blow away, they don't get taken away there. They're firmly affixed to the ground, and they will stay there.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about I think you know what I'm trying to say,
Yes.
but I don't want to say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you told me you visited last December.
Yes.
So you celebrated the Christmas with us, and you saw a bit of the carnival, right?
Yes.
So did you take any aspects from that to put into this presentation that you're going to present on Saturday?
Of course. I mean, every time that I'm down here in St. Kitts, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about the colors that exist in Carnival, but I'm also thinking about how St. Kitts and Nevis is laid out as an island, how homes are positioned in relationship to one another, how buildings are positioned in relationship to how the streets wind, and how you have this, how do I say, like intuitive map that comes out of that, and taking those influences of being here to help design how that experience exists in the Cottle Church.
Okay, good stuff. Were there any local vendors that assisted you in this production?
Primarily not. Most of the materials, if not all the materials, were sourced by myself, but I had received a grant from this organization called the Foundation for Contemporary Arts, which assists experimental art projects around the globe, and so they were one of the sponsors for this project.
Okay. I see we have some Carabel Batik colors in here.
Yes.
How instrumental were they in this production?
I had not worked with them directly for this production. I had visited Carabel Batik a number of times while I'm here. When I had come down in 2024, so last year, during January, not during Christmas, prior to, I had bought a number of their quilting squares and thinking about how can I use them in my artistic practice, and they kind of sat in my studio for almost a year's worth of time, maybe over a year's worth of time, and I'm sitting with them. It's like, I don't know what I want to do with them, but I know I want to make something out of them, make something in relationship to them. And then this project making sense of, like, why not show them in a different context outside of this garment wear that is always typically presented to visitors.
Yes.
Let's use them for a presentation that locals can come and experience and enjoy.
Good. What are your hopes and aspirations for Saturday's viewing and for the future? As you said, you will come back and view them over. Well, we can come back and view them over time to see how they change. What are your expectations?
Well, I'm hoping that people are curious, and hoping that people are curious to pique their curiosity, to be interested in coming back, like I said, but also to think about other ways in which we can engage with these historical sites around us. Yes, there's a lot of old colonial buildings, and that doesn't necessarily mean we just have to tear these buildings down. I'm not saying that I'm like, the systems that went into their construction were atrocious in a number of ways. But we're the people who are living here now. We are the ones who get to habitate this island. Why not co-opt them and turn them into something that serves us instead of just trying to erase them and erase that history? So this is what I'm part of what I'm thinking about in this presentation, reclaiming the Cottle Church for the use of the local public outside of the complicated history that it may have.
Because I know a lot of tours in Nevis normally visit that church as well, so that will be a great incentive for Nevis. Have you had the opportunity to speak to, let's say, Premier Brantley or any?
I haven't had that opportunity yet. No.
Okay, so I
hope they show up on
Saturday. Yeah,
yes,
that might
I would
just be
love to have a conversation with them.
Oh, okay, good stuff. All right. So this event is going to be on Saturday, May the 3rd at Round Hill Estate. And for those of you who are not familiar, it's close to the Mount Nevis Hotel. Yep. And the dress code is Caribbean Creative. What is Caribbean Creative?
Wear your brightest, most colorful colors. You don't have to come dressed in a suit and tie, but wear something fun. But try to show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the entry cost is $20. And for those of us feeling extra generous, donations are also welcome. So we look forward to seeing you at this event on Saturday, May 3rd. Okay, no problem. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Apologies, didn't mean to be live. Sorry about that.
So you're going to call back? Okay, all right. All right. All right, so Kyle, do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't. I just hope to see you all on Saturday at 1 p.m. I'll be there. I'll be dressed accordingly and would love to speak with everyone if they have any questions in person.
Oh, okay. I didn't even ask you, what type of artist are you?
I work with textiles or fabrics, using primarily fabrics that were gifted to me by my mother and my grandmother.
Okay.
They have large collections of fabrics from over the last 30, 40 years.
Wow.
And as life happens, you don't get to every project that you are aiming for. And so I ended up in this position where instead of letting these fabrics go to waste or just sit in a closet somewhere, I'm actively using them in different ways, whether it's quilting, whether it's weaving, in ways that they could become other art objects. I don't have the same aesthetic and the same way that my family is looking at where they were thinking about them to make garments and bedding and curtains, but that still inspires what I do.
Okay.
To make these other forms, how do I make something soft and make reference to the architecture in buildings the way I do.
Okay, nice. Well, the pleasure was mine interviewing you, and I would just like to remind our listening audience before we go to the break again, you always have something up and then it disappears. So the event, the Cottle Church present Congregation, and experience a collection of 13 inspiring quilts in honor of our ancestors, created by Kyle Orana of New York, a product of the Federation. And yes, indeed, as he said, he has ancestral rights to the Federation. So there will be entertainment. There'll be lots to eat and drink on sale. And it's Saturday, May 3rd at the Cottle Church in Round Hill Estate in Nevis. Dress code, as he said, nice, chic, colorful, and creative. It's from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. entry, $20, and donations are welcome. So calling all folks in the Federation for those of us over here, we'll hop a boat, and for those of you in Nevis, you'll walk, you'll drive, but you'll get there. All right, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.
Found the Sound 98.9.
Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Supplegen is giving away 3 unforgettable shopping sprees valued at $1,200 each. Just shop and win. Spend $12 or more on Supplegen products at your favorite supermarket. Write your name and contact on the back of the bill and place them into the Supplegen entry form boxes. Enter as many times as you like. Promotion runs from April 1st to May 31st. Supplegen boosts you up.
Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you. Join me, Percival Hanley, this coming Friday and every other Friday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon for Heritage Matters on Win Media SKN 98.9. Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea. I wish I could have gone to that event on Saturday, but that's my busiest working day.
Yeah, well.
Busiest working day, but I wish Kyle all the best. And as I said, for those of us over here, let's catch the boat. And for those of us in Nevis, let's make use of our vehicle, our feet, or take a drop with a friend. Let's go out and support the Cottle Church to ensure that, as he said, it remains. We know the atrocities that are tied to it, but it's part of society.
I like the point that he made that we should infuse it into modern society, because, for instance, the statue that is in the Independence Square, with the waterfall thing.
The waterfall, yeah.
There were individuals who vandalized it some years ago and wanted to destroy it, and because they said it's a representation of the past. But like him, I feel that there was a proposal that we make a new statue, and so I felt that what should be done, this is my point of view, is that leave that as it is, make a new memorial, however you want to do it, and then you can have an arrow or another statue pointing toward the old one, saying that is a representation of our past, and you have a statue, and this is now a representation of our progressive future. I don't feel this is one of the things why humanity has suffered. We keep destroying history. We keep destroying things. If it was, no matter how bad it was, let it be a reminder of what happened so that it don't happen again. Stop destroying things.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to vandalize that one thing in the middle. Let's mash up the whole square, because the event was happening in the whole square. So since you want to vandalize something, mash up the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It really don't make sense, because as you rightfully say, you take that out. But the remnant's still there, the square's still there.
Yeah.
People wear various corners of the square.
And whatever you want to say, I'm an artist. So, and when I say artist, I'm a literal artist.
Got you.
I can watch you if I have the time and draw you. So why would an artist want to see art destroyed? No matter who made it.
Yeah.
A true artist loves, it's like the story that Solomon told about the two mothers. And the two mothers had two babies around the same time.
One died.
And one died because the mother, whether inadvertently or whatever, rolled over and stifled the child. So, having stifled her child, she took her child, put it in the bed where the living child's mother was, and took the living child as her own. But come on, a mother knows her child, right?
Exactly.
So the mother was arguing, no, this is not my child. I know my child, blah, blah, blah. So it winds up in front of the judge. And you see what the judge did?
Yeah.
Because it comes back to, the judge says, you know what? I'm going to split that baby in half. He used psychology, you know. It's psychology.
Well, not splitting it to count.
You understand? And he knew that the one who was the real mother was going to have a real passion for.
Yeah.
So the one who was the real mother, she said, you know what? No, give her the child. And the one who wasn't the real mother, she was indifferent.
Yeah.
She wasn't like, well, you know, because she knows she had already.
Exactly.
So that is what you have to do. So, and when it comes down to an artist, we don't care where the art came from. It's about the love for the passion for the art, just like the passion my mother has for her child. You understand? I mean, it can't be that deep, you know, mother's love for a child, but assimilation.
Yeah, I understand, because even with Kyle, see, he just said he may not use the pieces like his mom and his grandmom, but he sees it differently because he looks at the architecture, he looks at all of that, and all of that comes into art.
Yeah, that's art.
I just, but I may not get to go to that event, but I'm gonna go check it out, as he said.
Yeah.
Over time, it's gonna change. It's gonna the forces around are gonna make a difference. So I'm gonna get a chance to see it, just not on Saturday. But folks, please go out and support the young artist. As he said, he has ancestry here in the Federation, so let's push and protect our own.
Yeah.
And preserve.
And show interest in what our young people are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we always
that
like
is
to
a
say,
motivation for
our
them.
young people not
and
no
especially
good
a young man.
Exactly.
You
so
understand?
go out and support Mr. Warner, please.
Yeah, most definitely. So, what do we jump to next in terms of a topic, discussion?
Listen, I am very concerned about our food.
Oh, yeah.
And America, I was looking at The View the other day, and they too were talking about shelves becoming empty soon and all that. And I said, no, they can't blindside us. Because you see, like how we were blindsided for COVID-19.
Yeah.
We can't be blindsided anymore because, as was mentioned, we have social media, we have all these things going around, and people are sharing. And we see the very own President Trump told us it was a created situation. So he let the cat out of the bag, first off. But they can't fool us anymore, although I don't think we were fooled, you know, because they had this movie in 2011 called Contagion.
Oh.
And if you watch Contagion, Quint, it looked just like
I
9
remember
years
thinking
later.
the same thing.
Yeah. So they warned us, but indirectly. Caller, good morning. You're live in L&T.
Yes, sorry to call in so quickly again.
No, man.
Quint,
that's okay.
Yes. Quint, first of all, the Trump tariffs, I don't think he could bring up because he has, like I said, kind of put them away for the meantime.
Yeah.
I don't think he can bring them back again.
No, I don't think so.
Because he see what it has done to the stock market.
Yeah.
And and not only that, but right now he's losing popularity.
And that is more important to him than anything else.
Exactly.
His popularity.
Exactly. And a lot of it have to do with the tariff. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So I don't think he can bring them back again. And not only that, concerning our government, they want to give the people the impression that only external factors is responsible for the high prices in the Federation. And that is not true. High prices, external factors, yes, have a lot to do with it. But also there's a lot of domestic government policies as well that have a lot to do with it as well.
Okay.
It goes both ways. And there are things that the government could do that can cushion it a whole lot.
Yeah. We have another caller. Caller, go ahead. Caller.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning.
Yeah. A couple quick points. I'm probably start with a question. Do we have a land use policy in the Federation?
I can't say that I'm aware that we have a detailed or specific land use. No, I'm not aware. I don't know.
Okay. Now, if we're serious about proper development, we do not have an infinite amount quantity of land like Guyana. So it's absolutely essential that we have a proper land use policy.
I agree.
No. So if we don't have that, how then can we say we want to sustain ourselves in terms of feeding ourselves?
That is a good question.
So the rhetoric about 25 by 25 initiative was not given a lot of thought.
I agree.
Because, and I'm saying that, for example, when we got out of sugar in, say, 2005, somewhere around there.
Yes.
The sugar lands occupied our best,
potential
lands, potential lands.
Yes.
But those lands were left basically abandoned.
Yes, yes.
And I dare say, maybe to a lesser degree today than it was back then. But if we are going to be serious about
and you know, caller, I'm glad you brought up that. And I like the way you started and the way it's going, because those sugar lands, if there was a structured land use policy. Remember, those lands were carved up, and one of the beauty when people came to our islands was seeing the patchwork kind of thing, so you could get from here to there and blah, blah, blah. That was the opportune time to use that, all of those roads and interconnections and so forth with a proper land use policy so that we would not be where we are today. So I like the way, you know, your conversation started and the way it's going. Continue.
Yes. So, I'm saying unless we do that, for starters, we're not going to get anywhere. And this is why the particular ministries, the people in the offices, they need to drive these things. But they are not, I don't feel that they are given enough latitude to do those things that some of them are very qualified to do.
Yeah, you mean the people... You mean the people in the agricultural industry?
Agriculture, planning unit, you name it.
Okay. Okay, I
and
understand
I'm saying,
what you're saying.
We have a generally good idea of where our best fertile lands are for.
Yes.
For example, do we have agronomists in St. Kitts? Who are they? How many?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Have they retired? Are we training these people? And I am saying, unless we start to do those things, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the people who drive policy are politicians, and they are not qualified to do that.
They are not qualified. That is true.
They are not. And some of them might be good managers, but they don't have the leadership because they don't have any vision in how to get us from point A to point B. And I come in, just to shift a little bit. I was into another program somewhere, and the presenter was saying it's time we start to address real issues. For example, things like constitutional reform.
Yes.
Now, we only hear about those things when it comes around election time.
Yeah.
Which means nothing is going to happen. And I think one of your callers and regular callers keep pushing for us to become a republic. What are our leaders' stance on things like that? Do they see that as an important part of our progress in terms of development? But they would quickly jaunt off to a Dubai or to a Kenya or Nigeria or wherever, right? We had a golden opportunity in the Caribbean oasis in the post-COVID era to start doing something collectively as a group. What have we done? Nothing.
Nothing.
All of us boasted of we came out first or second out of COVID, and we were able to invite people back into our country. But what have we done to develop our country? I would say nothing. So it's just a lot of talk. We go back, and each island in CARICOM, our country, just focus on this political survival.
Yeah, that's all.
So whether it's Guyana or Trinidad or St. Kitts or St. Lucia, nothing is being done. And for example, I have mixed feelings about our TBI program, as to shift to another point. Because we are saying we were too dependent on it for revenue, right? Which is true.
Yes.
But as the story, that is the story of our development, we were dependent on sugar for 300 years.
Yeah.
And we keep talking about St. Kitts is such a fertile place, right? But yet, even in the post-independence era, we still kept sugar until we couldn't carry it anymore.
Yeah, until we couldn't sustain it anymore.
And today, we are not anything different. We are putting our eggs into tourism. And now what the leader in the United States has done now is to show that I'm going to shake things up. And we are here now scrabbling like crab in a barrel. Right? It is still cheaper to go to the United States from our island than to go to St. Martin and Puerto Rico and those places.
That's correct.
And who are we waiting to make those changes? Right?
All good questions.
We look at, and I am saying, until our people start to think about solutions rather than blaming the politicians who were in administration prior to them, we're not getting anywhere.
I agree.
And that is why I talk about the need for constitutional reform. Right?
Yeah, because recently, I don't know if it was with Cortensia, but recently I know I brought up an issue where someone was speaking about along the vein of electoral reform, where the leader, instead of the way the system is now, that when the party wins, the party picks the leaders, those elected pick, the leader is picked by the people. And after that leader is picked by the people, apart from the people, other people who make up his cabinet, the leader then picks individuals who are qualified to perform the functions, as opposed to where the leader now picks one of his party, and as you say, they're not qualified to carry out the function. The leader under the new electoral system will pick people outside of the party and say, you have that qualification, blah, blah, blah. And then the ministers now will then be kind of maybe overseeing, but the individuals who would implement and so forth are the qualified ones. So yes, we agree. There must be, and until we have those electoral reforms, I concur with your premise, we're not really going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and my final point, we are fixated on the system that we inherited from the our colonial persons, and we feel that we have to belong to a particular party.
Yes.
And that therefore stifles creativity.
And
right? And I'm saying, where you have these dominant, and I call them the clubs or whatever, similar to religious groups, you have to operate within them, and once you don't toe the line, you are eliminated or sidelined.
Yes.
And as you get older, people tend to forget about a lot of things they wanted to do. The young man in Burkina Faso, right?
Yes.
What party does he belong to?
But they're trying to use that against him. Yeah. They're saying
that's what I'm saying, because they want to force him to go back into a system that has failed over
and over and over. Yeah.
Because even here too, you hear people saying you don't need to be a loyalist to the red or the yellow. Choose pick sense out the nonsense.
Yeah.
And
and I am saying, if we don't change our system of, and I use the word, educating our youth, because we have leaders who they don't feel anyway about maintaining the status quo. They benefit.
Yes.
Right? And until we have people who come up with credibility, who operate outside the box, we're not going to get anywhere. Anyhow, thanks for your time.
Yes.
And appreciate you listening to me. Thank you very much.
Okay. Greg, we didn't forget you, but thanks for your patience.
It's all understood. It's all understood.
Yes.
Two things I would like to mention. First of all, I wish you all success in fixing those two mobile lines.
Yes.
The 6 something and the 7 something. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't tried them today, so I don't know if they don't fix. But lastly, I would like to say that I was listening to a video yesterday, and I heard the first portion I heard of it was on Everton Obi Powell Facebook page.
Yeah.
And it was a local Rastaman who was correctly making an issue, and properly so, making an issue of the government fees and so that they have rolled out. That if you want to go in the ganja business, you have to pay so many thousands of dollars for license and registration and all that stuff. I think he quoted him one of them up to like 100,000 for something before you could go into it. And he was saying, where me gonna get that kind of money from?
Yeah.
Where me gonna get 100,000 and 40,000 and them sort of stuff before you can fully properly go into it? And he was criticizing the Rastaman them who was part of the board for these kind of things.
Yes.
Like they maybe sell out or something like that, because how locals are going to get this money and that sort of stuff to start up a ganja business.
You see, I'm glad you brought up that point, because again, the prior caller, this fits into what the prior caller was saying. We keep going back to the old way of doing things, and the old way of doing things is to tell the people, look, when they told that they sold the people, when we take over, we're gonna get you are you Rasta man? We're gonna legalize so and so, and then you're gonna be and you're gonna be the first to make the money. All talk, mind you. But then see the old system now. The old system is all these fees and all these, to things, and they know that those are going to be the impediments, and only rich people are going to be able to come in. So then you're going to be left on the wayside. Same old colonialist system in our modern day, which supposed to be progressive. So
But Quint, also, and the video he made, apparently, how should I put it? Okay, apparently, the government is giving out a pamphlet.
Yes.
That you can pick up with all of the prices and all the fees, and so you have to pay in order to go into the ganja business. Yeah. And he was showing the pamphlet that the government is giving out. So maybe you could pick up at the government headquarters. I don't know where.
Okay.
But the government has some kind of pamphlet with the rates and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And when he was talking, I was saying to myself, this is what I was saying to myself. Well, it is quite plain and simple. It is quite plain and simple. The government is sending the message that they're saying for you all local.
That is the message. That is the message.
That's the message.
Yeah.
Saying for you all local.
And again, see what they do, and this is why you got to be careful, and maybe why this Rasta was castigating his fellow Rastas for selling out. This is what they do. They say to the Rasta community, now, as long as you get your license, you can smoke in your holy place, you can congregate, and they feel that is enough to appease the Rastas, So
that is enough.
Yeah, they give you a little pat on the wrist and they say, well, you can go in your holy house and smoke, you know what I mean? But when it comes to making the money now, impediments.
Right.
That's why I mentioned the other day the persons that are locked up for this situation, especially those that are caught cultivating and whatever. Obviously, they have a skill.
Yeah.
Use them. Yeah, allow them to get into it.
But it ain't meant for them.
But the whole point is, if these people can produce such a grade that's going to make you money, why not encourage them and mold them and work with them?
Yeah, we agree with you, contents here. But
like I said,
set it up so that it doesn't work for them.
Yeah, the government ain't intended for the local. The government intended for the rich foreigners. And mark you, they probably know what coming to them as well.
Yeah. Greg, we have another.
I ain't going to get into that no more.
Yeah, so Greg, I'm going to drop you for now because we have another caller.
Yes.
Okay, let me see. Hello, caller.
Yes, good morning to you guys, man. How you guys doing today, man?
Fine, fine. And you?
Yeah, that last caller. Yeah, anybody on the line
No.
right now?
No, just you.
Okay. The caller that came on, I think the last caller when Greg was on there. Very well put together. Great contribution by him. Very, very thoughtful. Very articulated.
Yeah.
I want to support him, and I want to just chime in and say that when we came out of the sugar industry, definitely our leaders didn't have any good plans. You know, right now, with error, it's like a failed New Year's resolution. We're going back straight to the old ways. We didn't make any improvement. I don't see any revolutionary change.
Yeah.
And I want to agree with Greg and the other people who are pushing for.
You have another call. You have another caller with you right now, so you can. Hello, caller.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, morning. Me again, guys. No, the Rasta men them should not be surprised.
They shouldn't.
They should know that they only legalize this thing and go as far as they're gone to benefit themselves and their friends, because legalizing marijuana. But then after they switch, and who he wanted to bring in, wasn't it one of his friends?
Yes.
To cultivate it? So the rest of them should not be surprised. I don't know why they're surprised. They should, like y'all said, give them the right to say they're gone in the holy place and blow the smoke as much as they want.
Yeah.
But when it comes to making the money, they'll never make that money. It's not about them. It had nothing to do with them. It's about the politician and their friend getting rich. That's what it's about. And Cartencia, I saw a video with I think it's the video you were talking about. I saw a video with where we number 10 on a list of country that is as they would say due to collapse, as the man said.
No.
Is that the video you were talking about a couple weeks ago?
No, we the one on collapse. We were on rich. We were number 5, 10 of the richest.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I
because
saw
that
a
sounded
video.
surprising to me.
I got a video where we're number 10 on a list of country that is due to collapse.
Oh boy, who made up that one? No, I haven't seen that.
I will more lean towards the
rich
former,
one, right?
The former.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that one,
That
Cleo,
one-
but I'll look for it because I'm sure it's out there.
Okay, yeah, we made that list. We're number 10 on the list.
And by
that is due to collapse because they say the citizen by investment program that is practically dying, and tourism, because they stated, like one of your callers stated, that our main industry is tourism.
Yeah, it is.
And with what's going on in the world, we see tourism is gonna start to decrease.
That
so
is
we
likely.
we made a list at number 10 of country that is
Tell
on the
us,
brink
take us
of
off that
collapse.
list, please. We will be fine by the blood of the Lamb. Brother Greg and I and you and everybody else can pray for Saint. It ain't going down like that.
Yeah, you have to look for that. You have to look for
Yeah,
that
I'll
video.
look for it, but I haven't encountered it, so I didn't know it exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
All right.
Okay, so
Thanks, Burl.
you can go ahead, Burl.
Yeah, okay. My turn, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, the Prime Minister made a trip up to D.C., I think, last week. And we need to hear what went on in that trip, because I understand that the IMF might have been there present at that meeting. I'm not sure. I stand corrected, but we just need to know if the IMF was there having a meeting with him or not, and get the information out of that meeting. Coming out of the sugar industry, like I was saying before, we didn't have any plans for those lands. And then post-COVID era now, it's like a failed New Year's resolution. And we're not seeing the changes coming. The people are asking for certain intangible changes. And this government has the majority in the parliament. And they're not moving towards, doing what the people are asking for. So that means they're not really representing the people that put them there.
Burl, Burl, recently, I think perhaps it was yesterday, I was perusing some stations because we were doing some work at one of our transmitting site, and Cartencia, site is up now. One of our transmitters feeding from the back of Keys down to Date Bay.
Oh.
So what we have to work on now is the one at this level.
Oh, to come.
So that could cover the whole of Bastia going down
okay,
to
nice.
Antigua. So we're gradually, doing things.
Oh,
So
that's good.
while I was perusing, I bumped into Parliament was going on, and I heard Congress, and I as you're speaking now, Burl, I was thinking to myself when I heard Congress yesterday, because he was castigating the former party and talking about what they didn't do, and this only come up when it's time for election, and blah, 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 and the same old rhetoric. And we don't want to hear that. We want to hear what you're doing to progress, advance the country. Stop telling us about, that is why you won. That is why you're in position.
You're in position
to change things to the positive.
Yeah.
But they're always going in there, and they feel big and proud to just castigate the former party. Well, you did this, and remember you only brought up this and that, and then when that happened 5 years ago, remember you didn't do that, So how come you? Come on, man.
Forward movement.
See, those are the things that we got. Those are the things that we got to move away from. The party politics.
That's a worldwide play because everybody.
And
I look at it around the world, and everybody tries their best to blame the person that left. You are in now. Make it better.
And McMahon has a tendency to say, and I agree with him. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect to get different results.
Yeah.
When are you going to?
And he also says we should keep changing them until we get the change we need.
The change until we get the change we need. So but
So one as you're talking about the country's presentation, the pension amendment bill, right? Something in particular I hear him say. He said that if the bill goes through, he was talking, I think, before lunch.
Yes.
Prior to him really knowing if the bill is going to pass or what. If the bill goes through, he says the education will come after. I mean, I don't understand that at all. How could the education come after when you already passed a bill? That means you didn't consult with the people, you didn't alert the people, you didn't have no town hall meetings prior to you going in Parliament.
Yeah.
So you're going into Parliament and doing whatever you feel like you want to do, but without consulting the people.
And that is the same old. It's just what the colonialists did to us. Now people who have our own skin color is doing the same thing the colonialists did.
They got away with
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
Because I always
the system
said
needs to be broken, man, and the system needs to be broken. The status quo got to change. I don't think it's a Nevis continuing.
That's why you have to give up the blue book and come home and run.
Politics got to change.
Bro.
Yeah.
That is why we're saying give up your citizenship, come
and
win,
run,
and change the change.
Change the change. We want good things.
Take the risk.
I agree. I hear you guys, man. I hear you guys loud and clear. Did I hear somebody mention the Brian Claus this morning a little bit earlier?
I think so.
But the fact is, that Brian Claus said that the person was not born here. You are born here. So I still don't understand why you have to give up the extra citizenship if you're born here.
Dwyer dropped some bombs on a podcast with the DJ Marisha yesterday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was that you guys need to get a hold of that clip, man. That's the commentary, the weekly commentary, the one for yesterday.
Yeah.
And pick up to the one DJ Marisha, man. He's advocating for the necessary changes like I am.
Okay.
And like I said, man, they don't want to do the work. The Republic thing is gone under the rug. And another thing that I noticed is gone under the rug, the fear shift for Nevis, the World Bank report that they got from the World Bank. Nobody in the public see that. See that report.
Yeah.
The report is hidden now. But in order for real change to come, we need to break the system. We need to change the status quo.
Yeah.
Believe that. Think Steve's got a lot of potential, but one of the points I want to make, right, under the team unity, They're not only paid off the IMF debt, they also grabbed back maybe hundreds of acres of land that was under that land for debt swap.
Yes.
So if this current government, if they're so serious about agriculture, they need to go in parliament and pass some laws that will secure these lands for agriculture and for the locals. But we ain't seen them doing that either. So they can't be that serious about agriculture.
No.
And the 25 by 25 agenda is now under the rug too. That's a total failure. So now they're moving the goalpost to 2030. But definitely, we ain't seen no farm equipment coming into the port. We see 300 cars came in earlier this year, or whenever that was, but we ain't even seen one weed whacker or one push lawnmower come in to contribute towards agriculture. So these, you need land, you need water, and you need the equipment. You need land, water, and equipment for agriculture. And I'm not seeing that happening in the Federation.
Burl, Cortensia, Burl sounds like he's on the campaign.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what he needs to do. He needs to go and come and run.
And one last point about what you all was talking earlier about the citizens coming in, the ones that's invested in the CBI.
Yeah.
If Mark Brantley and the Nevis, and he has already stated he is advocating for those persons who has invested in them passports to move into the Federation. He already is talking about that. But if that could happen, they will come in and take over easily.
So you see,
so the local people,
Cortensia, what
gotta be careful.
My lady was speaking about earlier, until the politicians invite them in, and now Burl is saying the invitation has already been thrown out by one individual in party. So you see?
Yes, it's already out there. I heard him said that from his own mouth.
But do you think they're gonna come now?
I mean, we never know. We don't know what the future holds.
Yeah,
but one thing I'm gonna tell you, what that means simply is that the oligarchs is gonna take over.
Yeah, the rich.
Yeah.
Those persons who is barred from putting their names on the ballots, that's invested to that CBI, they don't necessarily have to put their name on the ballots, like somebody was saying earlier.
Yeah, they could
can lobby.
Yeah.
They can put their people in place.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially, we already know that the local politicians underground is already linking up with such people to get that agenda happen.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that the oligarchs is going to take over St. Kitts and Nevis in the near future. And
let's hope that's not the case.
So, and then one more point I want to drive home. We're not looking down the road at all. Like somebody said, or I'm saying now that PLP grabbed back some of those lands that was out there with the land for debt swap. This government needs to go after the rest lands that's still out there and bring those lands back to the people, because one farmer always said that the lands were secured for the people already before. He don't see why those lands was used as a land for debt swap situation. But lastly, before I get off, is we're not looking down the road. And even though those persons that invested in the CBI and they're blocked from putting their names on the ballots, guess what? Their offsprings that's born in the Federation will be able to put their names on the ballot. And that's what we're not paying attention to.
Yeah.
And that's my last contribution, man. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Yeah, because the Brian Clause won't prevent them, because they're born here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where their parents are from.
Yeah.
They petition.
That's
they conceive, they come out, everything here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I just wish if the Brian Clause just banned folks, because I would be banned, I'm not born here, but not tell people they have to give up. As they said, Angbella's moved from that. You can have your citizenship, you can run for government, you can do whatever you want to do. But Quinn, there's something here I saw about the IMF. I just want to read a quick thing before we close off. It says that they project that, and the article is on winfm.com for those of you who want to read it. It says, for Latin America and the Caribbean, we expect growth to slow from 2.4% last year to 2% this year, 2025, compared to the 2.5% we had expected 6 months ago. After that, we expect growth will edge back to 2.4%. They don't say when. And this is the headline for this is IMF highlights economic challenges and resilience strategies for Caribbean small island states. So I just wanted to highlight the drop that we intend to face, and maybe we can touch the other parts on another show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it says, wait, there's a little there's regarding tariffs, he stated basically we think that it's very important to keep the macro economy as stable as possible, and that means that countries which have a lot of homework in terms of rebuilding fiscal space, they have to continue doing it. The risk of not doing that is to face at the end a disorderly macro economy, and that at the end of the day is much worse. We have to recognize that it may be raining, but it's reality. It is the reality that we have this cycle. He added a nuisance perspective on tourism, a nuance, sorry, perspective on tourism, a key economic sector for the Caribbean and its vulnerability to external shocks. The data we have seen and the authorities' view on the same is that tourism is usually made with reservations in advance, and we haven't seen yet a change or cancellation of a size that could produce big problems. On the topic of currency stability, particularly concerning the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, pegged to the US dollar, Valdez reassures stakeholders, we are not worried at all about the peg in the ECCU. They have a good ratio in reserves to money. It is important to keep consistent policies for that. The Caribbean is special when you compare it with other countries because basically natural disasters are macro critical and very close every day. Therefore, it is important to work towards building a structure of financing and infrastructure to be able to basically confront these problems well. We are there to work with the countries on that.
If you listen to and read the IMF reports for the past how many years, they're just like the politicians, you know. A whole lot of rhetoric, and their predictions are kind of blurred, vague. It could go this way, it could go that way, a slight marginal, you know. I mean, whatever.
You're using the slang, man.
This is why our leaders, whom we elect, must be able, as one of the callers said, to be able to be creative, to be able to think out of the box, to be innovative, and propel us into positive advancement in the future. When we say positive advancement, we don't mean drastic big one, but gradual, you know, upscale, upward movement, and over time we're in a better position, as opposed to the politicians have the same rhetoric, the IMF have the same rhetoric, the World Bank have the same rhetoric. Everybody's just talk, and what? And then when unexpectedly we get a Trump, that throws a wrench into everything else, you know. Hello, caller?
Quint, I agree with you. Do you think the IMF have the Caribbean best interest at heart?
No.
No, it's want us to borrow.
Yeah,
You heard,
exactly.
you heard what Brother Greg said he can't say on radio? What it really means? The acronym IMF. He said he
no,
can't
I didn't.
say.
I did not hear what he said it means.
Because you had to understand it to get the context.
Yeah. So make your point.
I was just was asking, do you think they have our best interest at heart? The main thing is to borrow.
Yeah.
Get us borrow the money, and when you can't pay back, they come take over.
Yeah, well, listen a bind.
That's all it's about. But anyway, have a good day, guys. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. Okay. God bless everyone.
You too. Thanks for your contribution as usual.
Yes, and we're 4 minutes after the 10 o'clock hour, so.
This is where we say, Auf Wiedersehen, Toto Bene, Adios, Tengo un buen dia.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yes,
that's
Auf Wiedersehen.
German, right?
Look at you knowing your languages.
You know, there was a time, Hortense, believe it or not, there was a time when I knew a little bit of German, a little bit of French, a considerable amount of Spanish, a considerable amount of Japanese.
Oh, no, I never ventured there.
Yeah, a little bit of Chinese. Ooh. But because I'm not practicing, I need to speak with people. I've lost almost all of it.
Yeah, my three would be French, German, and Spanish. I do more Spanish because I have to use it, But the parlez-vous français and the allemand, the German, I don't.
Yeah.
I only use certain words. So, yeah.
So we bid you adieu. Do take care. Thanks for being in tune, and we'll see you when
tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow?
Yeah, Friday.
Oh, boy, I tell you, I live.
You think it is Saturday already?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, no. I know the weekend nice and long because we're not coming Monday, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Take
right.
care.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with Win FM.
Too often, customers are counted but not valued, like mere numbers, statistics, transactions. But at Flow, we're rewriting the rules and prioritizing you, our valued customers, who have been with us through every milestone, every moment. That's why we're putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers claim your $600 gift card when you add internet to your current postpaid plan. Because loyalty isn't a one-way street. At Flow, loyalty flows both ways.
It's the start of the week. It's time for a new perspective. It's time for Unfiltered. Join Azar Gums, lawyer and deputy leader of the People's Action Movement, for raw and unfiltered political analysis of the current events in St. Kitts and Nevis. Tune in every Sunday evening from 7:30 p.m. on Win FM. Join Azar Gums as he breaks the mantle and cuts through the unfiltered political noise to bring you the facts. Unfiltered every Sunday evening on Win FM 98.9.
Hey kids, it's chubby time.
Have to go to school and learn and play with my friends too. Every day it's fun.